Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dharma, Suki Hontu to all of you. A very good morning to those who have joined us early this morning. Many of you already start wishing each other. That is great. Keep it up the good work. Need to explain to those who are joining us for the very first time. This segment, we call it the Voices of Blooms. And our purpose is that we always have an opening video to all our online Dharma events. And what do we do here? We will feature talented songs, writers, musicians, composers, singers of Buddhist songs. And we will have them introduce themselves song or the group they are involved in. And we hope this segment will be able to publicize as wide as possible on all the Buddhist songs and to make people interested to listen, because Buddhist songs are there to promote the Dharma. So this morning, we have another sister to be introduced to all of you there. She is Mudita Tan. Mudita Tan, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to join us in
No
the
worries.
morning segment. All right. Well, we go straight into to get to know you more, your involvement. I know that you have been singing. First, I'd like to know that what is your involvement in the iGEMS group?
So I actually joined iGEMS in 2018, together with my sister Meta and Karuna. Meta, who is also a part of iGEMS. I am currently one of the vocalists in iGEMS, the band, singing lead vocals as well as backing vocals during performances. For group songs, I mainly sing the part for soprano. So currently, I'm also heading and managing the social media accounts for iGEMS, namely our Facebook page and our Instagram account. To find our iGEMS on social media, you just have to key in iGEMS official, so GEMZ official on our Instagram or Facebook to find us. Uh, Other than that, I am also currently working on translating iGEM's songs into other languages, especially to Mandarin. So this will allow us to reach out more to our Mandarin audience within the Buddhist community.
Well, you sing the soprano part. Isn't it fantastic? Oh, I really admire your talent. And you're able to translate your songs to the Mandarin version. That is great because you're going to reach out to the Mandarin speaking Buddhist community. Wonderful, wonderful. And what does the Buddhist music meant to you all this while? Over to you.
Um, I would say Buddhist music and I become a long way since my childhood days. So I got to experience and be involved in Buddhist music uh, since I was about like 6 to 7 years old. Through my dad, of course, my father. I would always follow my father to most of his Dharma talks in those days, where he would play his guitar and sing to the classic songs from the small teen Buddhist hymns book that has been written by most of our pioneer Buddhist music in Malaysia. So of course he was one of them as well. Um, I mean, Buddhist music has always been an inspiration in my life. Through Buddhist music, I am able to learn the Dharma, and of course to heal from negative emotions that I am feeling, as well as the mental state that I was in, either through singing or listening to the music itself. Um, no matter what languages the Buddhist music is in, either it's in Mandarin or it's in English, each and every Buddhist hymn evokes a very unique feeling and its own unique meaning, which of course touches my heart most of them.
Wow, you mentioned that you have been following your father's playing the guitar. One day I'd like to see you doing the same, following your father's footstep, holding the guitar, going to different centers, and start to give us a Dhamma talk. I
Oh,
wish to see that.
it's still a long way to go, but I will try.
And you mentioned about the pink book. Now I recall when I was new to Buddhism, behind our shrine hall, I pick up the pink book, but I do not know how to sing any of the songs. I we will listen. We will listen to your songs one of these days. All right. Then with these experiences that you have gone through, uh,
Mm.
how do you find your experience so far now?
My experiences with iGEMS. So I think iGEMS is really wonderful platform for me to learn and to grow definitely musically, emotionally, socially, and spiritually as a person. Aside from polishing my music and vocal skills, joining the band also helped me to treasure what is important, which is the unity and togetherness of singing with a group of Kayana Mitras who actually shares the same goals and aspirations that we had. Um, it also allows me to give back, of course, give back to the Buddhist community. I mean, we are mostly takers of the Buddhist community. We take a lot of things. I think Buddhist music allow us to give back to the community, to inspire more people to learn and practice the Dharma through the music, uh, and of course to learn music along the way as it did for me. So each practices, each performances, and each song that I just perform together constitute an important part of my learning process as well as a journey that I have with iGEMS as a person.
I like the part when you mentioned that through this we have opportunity to give back to the Buddhist community
Yeah.
because we cannot be always be taking and receiving from the others. As we go along, we have to learn to
Yes.
give and support the Buddhist community. That is a very wonderful message you have given to us. So Mudita, oh, I forgot, you are a Didi Mudita. Perhaps
Yeah.
you can explain to us the Didi title that many of us start to address you.
Okay, so I obtained my DD title, which stands for Dhammaduta, which also known as most people as Buddhist missionary. So I think I have this after I finished or I graduated from the course called GLAD. So GLAD programs, GLAD, GLAD, actually stands for Great Leadership Awakening with Dharma. It is a program that is but actually a program by the Cradle under the umbrella of TBCM, Theravada Buddhist Council of Malaysia. So as an individual that carries the title DD, we have a mission and we have pledged to make to inspire more individuals, especially Buddhist individuals, through this Dhammapada 182, which understands four important verses. First, which is where is the birth of a human being? And
Mm.
second comes after, which is heart is the life of mortals. Third, heart is the hearing of Dharma. And fourth, where is the birth of a Buddha? So as a DD, I aim to add value, of course, to my own life as well as others. Let others know that Suffering is optional. Happiness is a choice. Of course, with the teachings of the Dharma, I think I can also compassionately and continuously reach out to others that are in need, and of course, giving them a chance to listen to the Dharma itself, and continue to be inspired by how great the Buddha is as an individual. Of course, definitely through Buddhist music, I am able to do so. So to definitely to the audience, especially the youth, if you have a passion for propagating and would like to acquire skills and mindset necessary to be a Dharma Duta or a leader, definitely come and join the GLAD program. There will be GLAD program for millennials coming up later this year. The time is still unknown yet, but stay tuned for more information from our Facebook page. Definitely.
Yes, very good. That there is a GLAD program, even for the younger generation. So look out for it. Look out for the announcement in the various societies or in the various Facebooks. So, sister, all now should call you Didi, right? Didi, we are very used to that. Oh, Didi. So, what are you going to share with us? What's your chosen song to be featured today?
Okay, so one of the songs that really touches my heart is called Coming Home, which is featured in our latest album, Love Will See You Home, released in the November 2019. From my understanding for this song is that the lyrics of the song uh, is telling a monologue of an individual who has been in a dark and sorrowful place in his or her life. He speaks on how it hurts to endure his pain alone and how he hopes that someone who is there to reach out to him and listen to his pain. I actually resonate a lot with the lyrics of the song due to my past experience as a teenager. So I struggled with negative thoughts, and I had a really, really hard time battling the negative voices in my head, those emotions that comes out. Um, it felt though that I wasn't able or wasn't strong enough to escape from the vicious cycle on myself. However, I am thankful that I have great parents who have reached out to me during those times. And actually, there is a Buddhist individual who is still today, I would see as my benefactor, who has listened to me, who has guided me, and through his guidance, I've slowly walked out of what I was suffering from. Uh, and I really did feel like, I'm coming home, coming home from all those unfamiliar places to which I was shackled in when I was in the dark place. So, to members of the audience, I hope this song will able to bring you comfort and to lift you up in the moments of sorrow and displeasure, and give you the strength to find your way home where there's inner peace and happiness. Enjoy the song.
Yes, brothers and sisters in the Dharma, you have heard from our sister Didi Udita sharing with you the Dhamma message. And to those youth out there, if you wish to be inspired, if you wish to upgrade yourself, join the training that you have gone through, the GLAD program, and with that, this morning, I'm very happy that we have a good sharing with Didi Budita. And I wish her all the best and continue with your Dhamma Tuta work.
Thank
Sadhu,
you.
sadhu.
Sadhu. Sadhu.
my hurt deep inside, this bitter pain that I hide. Can I put my trust in you to listen without judgment? Will you try? Just being here, you've made me see. You being here brings clarity. Now this knot inside my chest is easier to free, 'cause I see me. Can I sail across the waters to a land where love will shine, where my green grass is waiting just for me? I'll swim neath the rainbow where I'll never be alone. I am happy now that I am coming home. I know it's hard to understand, but most depressions come unplanned, and all you have to do is stay around and simply hold my hand. Can you embrace my fears today, as I allow my tears to rain? And soon this melancholic episode will change and slowly fade away. I will sail across the waters to a land where love will shine, where my green grass is waiting just for me. I'll swim neath the rainbow where I'll never be alone. I am happy now that I am coming home. Yes, this home is the refuge where my kindfulness resides, filled with warm, loving kindness, joy and peace, where I welcome each emotion, every thought and every dream. I am happy I found stillness deep within. I have sailed across the waters to a land where love will shine, where my green grass is waiting just for me. I'll swim neath the rainbow where I'll never be alone. I am happy now that I am finally home.
Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dharma. Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see everyone out there to join us for another online Sundays Buddha Puja service. And during this Buddha service, remember to have a calm mind. While waiting, please prepare a candle or oil lamp to offer at your altar. Wait for the announcement to light the candle together with Venerable Dr. Dhammapala. To those who have just joined us, welcome to Subang Jaya Buddhist Association. It's the 49th online Sundays Buddha Puja service. We have been organizing this online Puja service. Well, it gave an opportunity to the Buddhist devotees near and far to continue with our Buddhist faith during this COVID-19 pandemic. Brothers and sisters, let us prepare ourselves and relax, sit comfortably, have a composed mind, let go of thinking about the past and future, and be at the present moment. I shall now hand over to our puja leader, Sister Anne. Over to you, Sister Anne.
Thank you, Brother John. Good morning, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Namo Buddhaya. Let us begin with our Sunday Buddha Puja service. With respect, may we invite Venerable Dr. Dhammapala to make the offerings to the Buddha. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, you may also light your candles or oil lamps. For the other devotees, let us place our palms together in Anjali position and contemplate mindfully. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, let us pay homage to the Triple Gem. Buddhang pujemi, Dhammang pujemi, Sanghang pujemi. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, together let us invite Venerable Dr. Dhammapala to administer to us the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. Ahang bante samsara vattatu kattu mochanataya tisaranena saha pancha silang dhammang yachami anukkahang katwa silang deta me bante. Dutiyampi ahang bante samsara vattatu kattu mochanataya tisaranena saha pancha silang dhammang yachami anukkahang katwa silang deta me bante. Tatiyampi ahang bante samsara vattatu kattu mochanataya tisaranena saha pancha silang dhammang yachami anukkahang katwa silang deta me bante.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Panchasila. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kamesu miccāchāra veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kamesu miccāchāra veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Surameraya majapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Surameraya majapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Imani pancha sikkhapadani samadhiyami.
Imani pancha sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani pancha sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani pancha sikkhapadani samadhiyami.
Appamadena sampadeta.
Amabante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Buddhanusati, recollection of the Buddha. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho Vijacharana sampanno sugato lokavido Anotaro purisadhamma sarati Satta deva manosanam Buddha Bhagavati Dhammanusati, recollection of the Dhamma. Soakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanayiko Pachatang Veditabo Vinyohiti Sanghanusati, recollection of the Sangha. Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Ujjapatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Nyayapatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Samicipatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Yadidang chattari purisa yogani atta purisa pogala Esa bhagavato savaka sangho Ahoneyo pahoneyo dakineyo anjali karaniyo anotara punyaketang lokasati Cetiya Vandana Vandami cetiyang sabang Sabbatane supatititang Saririka dhatu mahabodhi Buddha rupang sakalang sada Bodhi Vandana Yasamole nisinova sabari vijayang akan Pato sabbanyutan satta Vande tang bodhi padapang Ime ete mahabodhi Lokanatena pujita Aham pite namasami Bodhiraja namatute Padipa Puja Gana sarapaditena Dipena tamadansina Tilokadipang sambuddhang pujayami tamonodang Dupa Puja Ganda sambarayutena dupenahang sugandina Pujaye pujaneyandang Puja bhajanamuttamang Puppa Puja Vanagandha gunopetang etang kusuma santating Pujayami munindasa Sripada Saroruhe Ojemi Buddha Kusumena Nena Pungena Tena Chahotu Moka Opang Milayati Yatayidame Kayo Tatayati Vinasabhavang Paniya Puja Adhivasetu no bande Paniyang parikapitang Anukambang upadaya patiganhatu motamang. Asking for forgiveness. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya gadang. Achayang kamame bante boripanya Tathagata Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya gadang Achayang kamame dhamma sanditika akalika Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya gadang Achayang kamame sangha supatipanna anuttara Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu
Namo Buddhaya. Good morning, Bante, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. This morning, we are very pleased to have Venerable Dr. Dhammapala to be with us once again in our Sunday Buddha Puja. And Venerable Dr. Dhammapala will be giving a Dhamma talk this morning in both English and Mandarin. Our brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, if you have any question pertaining to this talk, you may type your questions in the comment section. We shall then invite Venerable Dr. Dhammapala to reply after the Dhamma talk. However, due to time constraint, we might not be able to answer all questions. Please allow me to introduce Venerable Dr. Dhammapala to those who may be new. Venerable Dr. Dhammapala was born in Kuching in 1970. He was ordained as a Upasampada Bhikkhu in Wat Chong, Kedah in 1994 under the most respected Chaukun Praraj Dhammatara, who was the chief Siamese Sanghanayaka in Malaysia. Subsequently, he sought spiritual dependence under the guidance of Bante Dhammasakaro Mahathero. He spent 15 years studying Buddhist philosophy, Pali and Sanskrit literature in Sri Lanka, Hong Kong. In 2009, Venerable obtained his doctorate of philosophy in Buddhist studies under the supervision of the Professor Venerable K.L. Dhamajoti in the University of Hong Kong. After his graduation, he was appointed as Chief Editor and Spiritual Director for the Buddhist Door website, which is one of the oldest and largest Buddhist websites in the world. In 2013, he was the visiting assistant professor at the Center of Buddhist Studies, University of Hong Kong. He traveled frequently conducting meditation, retreats, Dhamma talks and teaching in Malaysia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and China. Brothers and sisters are in the Dhamma. With deep respect, we invite Venerable Dr. Dhammapala to give us a Dhamma talk this morning on the struggle of Siddhartha Bodhisattva. Oh, sorry, I think I gave the wrong title.
is a bodhisattva's
Bodhisattva ideal in Theravada Buddhism, prophecy of Sumedha future, Buddhahood, and investigation of the 10 perfections. 各位佛友们，今天我们很开心的有这个机缘，请到法夫比丘为我们佛法开示，题目是上座部佛教的菩萨理想。燃灯佛书记行茶住波罗蜜班代respect 语的班代，我们尊敬的邀请法夫比丘。
好，sadhu sadhu sadhu。Namo Buddhaya, Namo Photoye. So last month we talked about the struggle of Siddhartha Bodhisattvas and who strive to become an enlightened one. And his enlightenment, is exclusively concerning for himself. And we don't find the attitudes of concerning for others as the motivation for his enlightenment. So he is concerned only for his realization and to find liberation for himself. So that is his primary concern for his awakening. However, this does not mean that the Buddha was not compassionate, and the quality of compassion for all beings, concerning for others, arises only as a result of his awakening. And the same is also true to his enlightened disciples, Arhat. 那上个月呢，我们有讨论悉达多菩萨种种修行奋斗他只是为了寻求自身的解脱。那巴利经典呢，也是没有谈到，就是在寻求觉悟的菩萨呢，对众生升起这个悲悯心，反而是菩萨寻求他自己的解脱为先但成佛之后呢，阿罗汉也是那这些圣者们对众生升起强烈的悲悯心呢，救度苦难的众生呢，这是对苦难众生所流露出来的慈悲是没有分别的这个是我们上个月在讲座的时候谈到的。So in the Theravada tradition, we find two types of understanding of Bodhisattva. And the first is the historical Buddha who gone through a lot of hardship while he was a Bodhisattva and finally became an enlightened one. And after his enlightenment, he helps all sentient beings. So we don't see any explanation in the Theravada Abhidhamma text, nor in the commentary of Abhidhamma of the practice and cultivation of the Bodhisattva's path. Interestingly, after the Buddha's passing away, in just over 100 and 200 years, the Sangha was split into two major schools. One is the traditional orthodox teachings of the elders, we call Theravada school. And the other is the Great Assembly, what we call Mahasanghika school, who was more open-minded and liberal. So this is a time of sectarian Buddhism. So among the school of Theravada, some monks were probably influenced by the Mahasanghika. So we find in the early Pali Suttas with the trace of influence of sectarian coloring of the detailed explanation of Bodhisattva's path, including the prophecy of Sumedha, future Buddhahood, by the Buddha Dipankara, and his aspiration to become Buddha, and over a long period of time, completing and perfecting his cultivation of 10 paramitas, perfection. 那么在上座部佛教呢，对这个菩萨的思想呢有两种了解。那第一种就是普遍呢都坚信这个历史上的佛陀，当他还是菩萨的时候呢，他很艰苦修行，那么出家求解脱。那觉悟之后呢，由于他的悲心切切不忍众生苦才度化众生，所以呢，在现今南传佛教的阿毗达摩 乃至在后期的一些论章注释呢，都没有提到这个菩萨道的修行解说。那么从历史上呢，我们看到，就是佛灭后呢，在短短的100多200年间呢，僧团就分裂了2大派，一个就是传统派的上座部佛教，另外一个呢是开明派的大众部佛教。那这也就是呢，这也看到就是部派佛教的这个发展了。那么一些在上座部佛教的修行人呢，自然也受到了开明派大众部佛教的影响，所以呢，不难了解，就是在早期的一些巴利经典呢，也出现了一些部派思想的这个菩萨道修行的影响。那这个包括呢，就是燃灯佛受记审查诸波罗蜜的这个菩萨发展演变。所以呢，同在巴利经典我们有发现到这2类的菩萨思想同时出现。And it doesn't mean that the Theravada does not talk about the future Buddha. So in the Chakravarti Sutta of Digha Nikaya Long Discourse, and there is a mention of the future Buddha, Maitreya Buddha. And he is still practicing in Tushita heaven, and he is called the Maitreya Bodhisattva. And he will appear in the world to become the Maitreya Buddha when human lifespan reaching 80,000 years. 当然这也不是说在南传没有谈到未来佛在长部的转轮王经有提到未来佛就是弥勒佛的出现。他现在呢还在斗率天修行名为弥勒菩萨。他将在人类8万岁时期呢出现于这个世间名为弥勒佛。So 100-200 years after the Buddha's passing away, we know that the Sangha was split into 2 main schools, Theravada and the Mahasanghika. Again, within these 2 schools, divided into 18 sub-schools or more. Then this period of Buddhism is called sectarian Buddhism, and various thoughts and philosophers were evolved during this period of different schools of thought. Bodhisattva's idea was evolved during this period. So during this period, we saw a group of disciples begin, to miss, the Gautama Buddhas after his passing away. So we see there is a need to compensate for the loss of Gautama Buddhas after his passing away. And this provides a substitute for the passing away of the Gautama Buddha, the Bodhisattva's Maitreya, who will continue the lineage of Buddhas by becoming the next Buddha. And he is our future Buddhas, and the Bodhisattva's Maitreya is now dwelling in Tushita. So this gives an assurance of continuity. So these disciples started to recollect noble spiritual practice of the past Buddhas. So they began to compile the past life of the Buddhas. And these texts are found in the long discourse, Mahapadana Suttas, which contain the past 6 Buddhas. Okay? And Buddha Vangsa, the chronicle of Buddhas, from the Khuddaka Nikaya, which provides an account of the lineage of 24 Buddhas who preceded the historical Gautama Buddha. And the Jataka contains 550 stories of Bodhisattva's practice, and baskets of conduct, Charya Pitaka, which contains 35 Jataka stories, and each story is associated with a particular practice of perfection, or we call paramitas. 那佛灭后就是100-200年，那么僧团呢，我们知道就分裂了2大派，就是上座部跟大众部。那这2派呢，又在分裂18部或者是更多。那这一段的佛教呢，可以称为部派佛教的发展。那这个时候的部派佛教呢，有很多新的思想出现，那包括这个菩萨思想。那这期间呢，我们也看到，就是有一班佛弟子呢，开始很怀念这个乔达摩佛陀，所以他们认为呢，有必要呢传承 延续这个悉达多乔达摩佛陀。所以呢，弥勒菩萨呢将成为现任佛陀来延续呢这个佛的这个传承。所以弥勒菩萨呢是未来佛弥勒菩萨呢现在住在这个斗率天，那因此呢这提供了传承延续性的这个保证。也因为这样子呢，有很多佛弟子呢也开始很仰慕佛陀在他过去多生中呢当他还是菩萨时修行的种种经验。于是呢他们便开始呢编辑过去生中种种的这些事迹所以呢就有了我们看到的现在的这个长部这个大比喻经或者是小部的这个佛种性或者是本生经这里记载有550个就是修菩萨行的故事，还有这个这个所行赞经那这里都记载很多过去佛呢当他们还是菩萨的时候呢修行的种种经验和故事。So in the Buddha Vamsa these suttas gives an account of the Sumedha, prophesies of becoming Buddhahood by Buddha Dipankara. So long ago, while Sumedha was a hermit, he was fortunate to meet the Dipankara Buddha, and he was able to receive prophecy or become Buddha from Buddha Dipankara. And soon after his prophecy, he became the Sumedha Bodhisattvas. So I will explain how he become Bodhisattvas, and factors or conditions that require to become Bodhisattvas, and his motivation and prophecies of Buddhahood by Buddha Dipankara. And after for Asankhya, this Asankhya meaning like innumerable times, for Asankhya in 100,000 eons, cultivating, perfecting 10 parameters, then he become the Buddha. So all these things recorded in the Buddha Vamsa. So this at least, can be said to be the origin of early thought of Bodhisattva's path. So this Bodhisattva's thought have been recorded in the early Pali Suttas. So we cannot deny the facts of the Bodhisattva's path in Theravada. So it is interesting to know that the Bodhisattva's path in Theravada Buddhism is quite different from the understanding of the Mahayana Bodhisattva's path. So now let us explore the Theravada Bodhisattva's path. 那么在这个佛种性这个或称为佛史呢这部经，那记载了这个善慧属昧的善慧呢受记成佛的种种事迹。那么在释阿僧祇又10万界之前呢，有一位修行人他名叫善慧，那他经历出家为隐士就是修行者修学，那后来遇上了这个燃灯佛那么他的8大条件因缘成熟呢，他发大善心发大愿那么被这个燃灯佛受记成佛等等。那圣慧呢成为菩萨之后呢，在经历释阿僧祇又有这个10万大戒来圆满他的菩萨，他圆满他的这个波罗蜜的修行之后呢才成佛。那这也可以说是呢早期南传佛教菩萨道思想的起源。所以呢在巴利经典呢都有记载了这些菩萨思想，所以呢我们无法否定呢在南传佛教有这个菩萨思想。那今天我们来了解南传菩萨道呢，以北传的菩萨道所讲的这个菩萨道思想其实还是有分别的所以我们今天来探讨这个南传菩萨道。So gathered from these several suttas, we have mentioned earlier, and we find the concept of many Buddhas, like 6 Buddhas, 24 Buddhas, 27 Buddhas, and 35 Buddhas in the past. So in the Mahapadana Suttas of Digha Nikaya, there is a mention of the past 6 Buddhas while they were still bodhisattvas, how to practice parameters until becoming Buddhas. So the concept of development of the bodhisattva's path has also been further developed to a certain extent. So many research papers have pointed out that this thought of development of bodhisattvas appeared at the later stage and was influenced by the later school of Buddhist thought. Some scholars believe that this thought was influenced by the early Mahayana Buddhist text as well, called Ragnaguna Sanchaya Gata, right? This text. 那在刚才我们看到的这些巴利经典有谈到过去有很多佛的这个思想，譬如有6佛、24佛，过去的27佛，或者是过去的35佛等等。例如在这个长部的大比喻经 Mahabodhana Suttas 很清楚的讲到呢，过去6个佛，当他们还是菩萨的时候呢，如何修行成佛的种种经历。那这些菩萨的发展概念呢，思想呢，在一定的程度上也有进一步的发展。那么在很多的研究报告也指出呢，这些菩萨的思想发展呢，都是较晚期出现的，那也受到这个部派佛教思想所影响。所以呢，有些学者认为这些菩萨思想是受到早期这个大乘佛教著作的影响，比如有一部著作呢这个功德宝集记就是 Ragnaguna Sanchaya Gata， 他们之间有很多的这个相似之处。Then in the Sutta Nipada, there is a detailed description of the last birth of the Gautama Bodhisattva. Related to his appearance in the world is for the benefits and happiness of sentient beings after a long period of after a long periods of cultivation, long periods of cultivation of perfecting of 10 parameters. So the story goes like this. After the birth of Gautama Bodhisattvas, his father, King Suddhodana, invited the Ashita, who was well-known hermit ascetics at that time. The Ashita saw the small prince with 32 features of a great man. The Ashita hermit has never seen such special features of a great man. So his tears, fell from his eyes, and also he kept sighing. So when the king Suddhodana saw Ashita hermit, he said to the Ashita, "When you first came, you said my prince had all sorts of great features of a great man. And why now you look so sad after seeing the prince? Could you please tell me why on earth are you crying? And why should you sigh? Please say it to me quickly." Then the Ashita said, "Oh, great king, I was very fortunate to be able to see the prince today. But thinking that I'm already 90 years old, I would die before the prince attained enlightenment, and thus would be unable to hear the Buddha's teaching. So I sigh and shed tears." So King Suddhodana was very worried and asked, "Were the prince ready to become a monk and become a Buddha?" The Ashita replied, "Oh, king, the birth of this prince is his last birth, and his appearance in the world is for the benefits and happiness of all mankind, and he will definitely become a Buddha." So it can be seen that the Bodhisattvas came to this world with ideas and ambitions and missions. So he was here to fulfill his missions of becoming a Buddha and helping sentient beings. So the Bodhisattva's idea is very different from what we have known earlier, only concerning for his liberation. 所以呢，在这个经记这里面有谈到就是菩萨最后一生他处世的详情，这以他经历很长的时间圆满修学波罗蜜，以为了 众生利乐和悲悯众生有关而出现于这个世间。那故事是这样的，就是菩萨呢出生之后呢，他父亲净饭王便请来当时很有名的阿斯陀仙人。那么这个阿斯陀仙人看了太子的相貌之后呢，就是具有这个32相和80种好的这个佛陀之相呢，他怎么说呢？就是他非常的愉悦非常的欢喜。那么呢，后来他又流泪了那么呢，就一滴一滴的就从他的眼眶里面掉了下来。那不断的在唏嘘叹息。那净饭王呢见了这个阿斯陀仙人呢，就问这个阿斯陀仙人，他说：大仙，你为什么这样呢？你刚来的时候不是很欢喜吗？就是见到这个太子种种的相好。那么为什么现在呢你又这个忧愁悲哀呢？那为什么你要落泪呢？为什么要叹息呢？请你赶快说。那么这个阿斯陀仙人就说到，他说：大王，我今天能够亲自见到太子的相好呢，真是我莫大的幸运。但想到我现在呢已是风中残烛的年华，那留在这个世间的时间已经不多了，不能受太子将来成佛的教化，所以呢我就不觉叹息和流泪了。那净饭王有些放心不下，就继续问道，他说：真的太子会出家成就佛陀吗？那阿斯陀仙人就回答说：大王，这位太子的诞生是人间最后的受生，大王得获太子呢，不仅是大王的幸福，也将是全人类的幸福，他一定会出家成就佛陀的。那可以看得到呢，菩萨来到这个世间呢，是抱着理想的他是要来完成他成佛度化众生的悲愿使命。那跟之前我们所认知的菩萨呢，寻求自身解脱呢，还是有很大的差别的。So in Theravada, not everyone can become a bodhisattva. So to become a bodhisattva, there are 8 conditions or 8 factors to fulfill. Then among them, he is a man, and he must be a male person. Before he met a living Buddha to give him the prophecy of Buddhahood, he could actually meet the Buddha in that very life, and he could attain arhatship. But because of his aspiration to become a Buddha, he gave up the opportunity to attain arhatship. So moreover, he must make a strong resolution, right, to develop a great compassion for the welfare of the entire world of beings. And this further motivates him to practice the 10 parameters and to even sacrifice his life and body for the sake of attaining Buddhahood. So it is hard to become a bodhisattva in Theravada Buddhism. So to become a bodhisattva, one should have endowed with these 10 factors. Now we read it. And the first being a true human being. The second being a true male person. And the third, having fulfilled all conditions which are necessary for realization of arhatship if he wants in that very life. And the fourth, meeting with a living Buddha. And the fifth, being an ascetic who believe in the law of karma, or being a member of community of bhikkhus during the dispensation of a Buddha. And the sixth, being endowed with jhana, attainment, and higher spiritual powers like divine ears, etc. And 7, intense effort to develop one's perfection without regard to one's life for the well-being of a Buddha. And the last, wholesome desire strong enough to aspire for Buddhahood. So it is already very difficult for Sumedha, hermit, to reach such a higher state of development before meeting Buddha, yet to fulfill 8 factors to be eligible to receive the prophecy of Buddhahood. What's more, the Buddha can only be attained by fulfilling 10 perfection for at least 4 asankhya, right? For innumerable and 100,000 eons after receiving the prophecy. So it is truly difficult to become bodhisattvas, to achieve the Buddhahood in Theravada. 那么在南传呢，不是每一个人都能成菩萨啊。要成菩萨呢，首先要具备8项条件，那其中包括他是人啊，而且是男人。在未遇到一尊活着的佛陀为他受记前呢，他其实已经可以在那一生呢遇上佛啊，便可以证得阿罗汉果。但由于呢他发愿成佛，他放弃呢证入阿罗汉果的机会，而且他要有很强烈的决意啊意愿啊，就是要发大善心，那这才能呢激励他修习十波罗蜜，乃至呢献出自己的生命和肢体呢，培育种种的成佛资粮。所以呢，在南传上座部佛教呢，要成菩萨呢是非常的不容易。那在佛种性呢有记载啊，要成为菩萨呢，要具备以下8项条件啊。第一，他一定是要人；第二呢，而且是男人；第三啊，婆罗蜜已经圆满，注意他可以在那一生证得阿罗汉果，但由于他发大愿成佛，他放弃呢证入阿罗汉果。第四，遇到一尊活着的佛陀为他受记。第五，那相信业力的一位修行者。第六，具备4禅、8定和5神通。第七呢，不惜牺牲自己的生命啊，修波罗蜜的无比精进力。第八，善欲要足够强大呢，令他发愿成佛。所以呢，要像善慧啊、苏妹的饮食那样呢，在未见佛陀之前，已经达到如此高的境界呢，还要具备8项条件呢，才有资格受记成佛。真的，这已经非常困难了，更何况获得受记之后呢，至少还要以释阿僧祇，以10万劫漫长的时间来修习波罗蜜才能成佛。所以呢，在南传要成菩萨呢，成佛真的很难。So the hermit Sumedha, right, who was the predecessor of Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, prostrated the Buddha Dipankara to make an aspiration to become a Buddha. It says like this: if I so desire, this very day I can become an Arhat, in whom the defilements are exhausted and mental defilements are removed. But does it profit me to realize the fruition for Arahatship and Nibbana as a disciple in the dispensation of Buddha Dipankara? I will exert my utmost for the attainment of omniscient Buddhahood. What is the use of selflessly escaping the cycle of birth alone, in spite of the fact that I am a superior person, fully aware of my prowess of wisdom, faith, and energy? I will strive for attainment of omniscient Buddhahood and liberate all beings, including devas, from the cycle of birth, which is a sea of suffering. 那在他自己过去释阿僧祇10万大戒以前，当他还是善慧隐士的时候呢，在还未遇上这个燃灯佛受记呢，成为菩萨之前呢，他其实已经具备了这8项条件。就是假如善慧想要解脱的话呢，他可以呢在遇见这个燃灯佛呢，就可以成为一位诸漏已尽呢，这个烦恼已断的这个阿罗汉。但是呢，他并没有这样子做。他想，如果呢他自私的独自解脱生死这个轮回呢，又有什么殊胜之处呢？所以呢，他的心早已倾向于成佛，所以他发愿要将无数的众生呢，从生死轮回的苦海中解救出来。所以包括天神在内的一切众生，这就是呢，在他还没有受记成菩萨呢，就已经发大愿度众生的 强烈愿望。So when Sumedha has endowed with 8 conditions, okay, 8 factors, and on that very account, he makes a strong resolution, right? The Pali like this, yeah? Iminame adikarena katena purisutame sabahanyotang papunitwa taremi janatang bahu. Okay, the meaning, as a fruit of this great meritorious deeds done by me for the sake of this omniscient Buddha, without regard even for my life, may I, having myself attained omniscient Buddhahood, be able to save multitudes of beings. Then after making such a strong resolution, he was called Sumedha Bodhisattva, and destined to become the Gautama Buddhas after 4 Asankhya and 100,000 eons. So it's a very long time. 所以呢，他发出了这个强烈的意愿，这个巴利文这个意愿。那么这个意愿的意思就是：我为最上人作此真上行，证一切之后呢，就是证得佛果之后呢，救度无量众生。这个就是他发出的这个强烈的这个愿那因为他发出了这个强烈的愿望呢，使他成为必定被受记的对象，成为这个菩萨。然后呢，在这个4阿僧祇以10万大戒修行圆满10波罗蜜之后呢，成佛。所以呢，这个是非常非常困难的事情。所以在南传成菩萨真的不容易。Then, knowing that Sumedha has endowed with this qualification, right? Then the Buddha Dipankara went to a Sumedha and standing at the head of his prostrate body, exercised his supernormal psychic power of seeing into the future to find out whether Sumedha's aspiration to become the Buddhas will be fulfilled or not. He said, Sumedha will become a Buddha, Gautama by name, after 4 Asankhya and 100,000 eons have passed from the present one. So Sumedha was predicted to become the Gautama Buddhas. Right? So while standing at his head, the Buddhas uttered the prophecy in 9 verses. Okay, so all these things are predicted. So this Sumedha, the hermit, will become an enlightened one among Brahmas, Devas, and human beings after innumerable eons. To be exact, 4 Asankhya and 100,000 eons from now. Second, on the threshold of his Buddhahood, this Sumedha will renounce the world, leaving behind the marvelously delightful city of Kapilavastu. He will then devote himself to meditation and perform strenuous, austere practice. Okay, so this is the second prophecy. And the third, while staying under the banyan tree called Ajapala, he will accept the offering of milk rice and go towards the river Neranjara. 我们来看9首一元记这个受记。那上会隐士呢，向这个燃灯佛顶礼。那燃灯佛就运用他的神通去看发愿成佛的他，在未来是不是能够实现他的心愿？所以呢，他审查了之后呢，那么知道了燃灯佛，燃灯佛知道了，这个善会呢，在4阿僧祇戒和10万大戒之后呢，将会成佛，名为乔大摩。那燃灯佛呢，站在善会面前就说了这9首寓言这个受记这9首前3个是这样，就是诸比丘，你们看这全修善行的修行者善会隐士，他将在4阿僧祇以10万大戒之后呢，在众梵天、天神与人当中出现为佛。第二，在成佛的边缘善会将会出家，舍去了非常令人愉快的迦毗罗卫城， 那之后呢，他便投入禅修和实行极度的苦行。第三，在一棵阿泽波罗榕树就是 Ajapala Nigroda 树下呢，接受了乳饭的供养再去这个尼连禅河。Okay, so now we continue looking at these 9 verses of prophecy. So the fourth one, when his attainment of Buddhahood is drawing near, he will partake of the milk rice on the river bank and approach the Bodhi tree by the path well prepared by devas. Number 5, fifth, and he reaches the Bodhi tree, which will be the site of attaining the enlightenment. He goes rounds clockwise. He will turn from the south to the west, from the west to the north, and then from the north to the east, thus becoming a supreme enlightened one with none to excel him, and his fame spreading far and wide. Then having seated himself at the foot of a Bodhi tree, he will gain insight knowledge of the Four Noble Truths. Number 6, the Buddha of these Buddhas will bear the name Maya Devi. The father will be named Suddhodana, and the Buddha will have the name called Gautama. So 我们来看就是这9句第4句呢，就是在他将要成佛时呢，他在河边吃了乳饭，然后呢，在天神整理好的道路呢，走向菩提树。第5，来到证悟地点的菩提树下呢，他顺着时针绕转从南走向西，西走向北，在北走向东，他将成为正等正觉，无人可比拟。善名远播做菩提树下，他将证得彻知是圣地的现观。第6呢，这尊佛的母亲呢叫摩耶夫人他的父亲叫净饭王，这尊佛名叫乔达摩。So now the 7th, the pair of his disciple, here talk about the disciple now, will be Kolita Upadisa, and he will be free from mental intoxicants and attachment, and who are of calm heart and profound mental concentration. And the monk Ananda, by name, will wait upon this Buddha as an attendant. Okay? And number 8 and 9, we see Kema Teri and Upala Vanna Teri. They are the female chief disciples. Okay? And then number 9, Chitta Hatalawaka will be the foremost male lay attendant serving the Buddhas. Okay? And the Uttara and Nandamata will be the foremost female lay attendant. So all these things are predicted. So the Bodhisattvas was making a great benevolent mind and making a great aspiration, which was very similar to the bodhicitta, right, mentioned in the Mahayana. Only when the bodhicitta is developed, then there will be a motivation to achieve the Buddhahood. So in the present Theravada countries, there is hardly any discussion about the practice of Bodhisattva's path, particularly in the Abhidhamma. So, however, there are records, right, of the developments of Bodhisattvas in the Pali Suttas, especially in the Digha Nikaya and Khuddaka Nikaya. And of course, we have seen most probably influenced by the sectarian Buddhism and the early Mahayana Buddhism. So this probably could be the origin of developments of Bodhisattva's thought in Theravada. 那我们来继续看第7、8跟9就是有讲到就是他有这个一对上首弟子，就是居利多和优婆迪萨这还有呢也提到这个阿难尊者呢将是佛陀的侍者。那这里也提到的就是上首女弟子就是这个科摩长老尼，还有呢莲花色长老尼。那这里也谈到的就是佛陀的首系俗家男弟子跟女弟子就是 Chitta， 就是和跟这个阿多罗婆个哈特拉瓦个。另外呢就是优多罗还有难陀母这些呢都是在 这个燃灯佛在受记的时候呢，已经说出的了。所以刚才我们看到，就是菩萨呢发大愿心啊，发大善心，发大愿呢，有点像是在北传讲的这个发菩提心啊，就是 bodhicitta， 就是很相似。那么当然发了菩提心啊，你成了菩萨啊，你要成就佛道的这个动力了，才有这个 OK 。那么，所以呢，在上座部佛教这个巴利经在论藏里面，阿毗达摩呢或者是在后期的一些论书我们几乎没看到任何有关于谈论菩萨道的这个修行，反而是在巴利的经典尤其是在小部经或者是在这个长部里面有这些菩萨这个发展的记载。所以呢，不难看出呢，就是现在我们在这个南传的上座部的国度里面呢，很少人谈到这个菩萨道思想。那甚至还有很多人还犹豫就认为说，难道南传还有菩萨道吗？所以反而在这个早期的这个经典呢，也许受到这个部派佛教和初期大乘佛教的影响呢，菩萨思想其实呢，都已经蛮蓬勃的这个发展。Then now continue, yeah. The Bodhisattva Sumedha, right? He was very delighted, with the prophetic words of the Buddha Dipankara and the encouraging words of Devas and Brahmas, and he reflected this after Devas and Brahmas, had departed. Buddhas are not speakers of ambiguous, words, nor are they given to speaking of fertile things. Never have their word proved wrong. Surely I will become a Buddha. And reflecting on this simile, Sumedha was certain that he would definitely attain Buddhahood in accordance with Buddha Dipankara's prophetic words. And he thought to himself thus, well, I will make a thorough search in the basic principle, concerning the 3 words in all the 10 directions for the condition for the attainment of Buddhahood. Therefore, he thought about those factors, which condition the attainment of Buddhahood. There's a word, call it Buddhakara Dhamma, right? The condition for the attainment of Buddhahood. So he investigated, one by one, these 10 parameters. 所以呢，善慧菩萨呢受记之后呢，他就对这个燃灯佛的意愿，还有就是天神和梵天的鼓励呢，感到非常的欢喜。那么在天神与梵天离去之后呢，他又开始审查，他说佛陀是不会说意义含糊的话，也不会呢空中说白话他们的话呢也不曾错过，肯定的我将会成佛了。那如此审查这些例子之后呢，善慧菩萨肯定自己呢会如这个燃灯佛的意愿一样证得这个佛果。所以呢，过后他想，好，我将透彻的探寻十方，就是指3界成就佛果的因缘之基本准则的原则。那OK， 对不起我的这个 system 有点当掉。所以呢，这个善慧菩萨呢，他就开始审查了就是他逐步审查这10个波罗蜜。所以我们来看这10个波罗蜜。All right. So while Sumedha was engaged in investigation of the Buddha-making factors, okay, he discovered first the perfection of almsgiving, which formal bodhisattvas had always followed and practiced, and which was like a highway to the state of Buddhahood. Right? So this is how he investigated one by one. Then he followed by the perfection of morality, right? Perfection of renunciation, perfection of wisdom, and the perfection of energy. 所以当上慧菩萨呢正在审查成佛的因素的时候呢，他首先发现到过去就是诸菩萨皆修习这个布施波罗蜜这个布施波罗蜜呢如一条通向这个佛果的这个大道那他一个一个的审查接下来呢他审查这个持戒波罗蜜处理波罗蜜智慧波罗蜜还有精进波罗蜜。Then Sumedha Bodhisattvas continue, right, to investigate, the perfection of forbearance, perfection of truthfulness, right, perfection of resolution, perfection of loving kindness, and perfection, and the last is perfection of equanimity. So Sumedha investigate, these 10 perfections, and which are all very essential factors for the attainment of Buddhahood. 那上慧菩萨呢，将继续就是审查另外5个波罗蜜就是忍辱波罗蜜真实波罗蜜、觉语波罗蜜、持波罗蜜、舍波罗蜜。所以上慧菩萨呢，逐步就是审查这10种波罗蜜呢这些都是导向成佛的因素。Okay, now the last common understanding of bodhisattvas in Theravada and Mahayana. So, the condition, right, for practicing the bodhisattva's path in Theravada Buddhism are quite different from the Mahayana Buddhism. Then according to, Theravada Buddhism, not everyone can become a bodhisattva. And before a practitioner is first prophesied by the Buddhas to become a bodhisattva, he must meet with 8 conditions, right? He must be a human, a male, and have met a living Buddha, be a monk, and have accomplished 4 jhanas and acquire higher knowledge, etc., etc., without fear of any difficulties to realize the Buddhahood. When the 8 conditions are met, the Buddha will give the prophecy. Then he has a strong determination, right, to develop benevolent kindness and great aspiration will then take effect, and followed by cultivation of 10 paramitas for the benefits of sentient beings. 所以呢，在南传菩萨呢，就是行菩萨道的这个条件呢，以北传的这个行菩萨道呢，其实还是有一些原则上的不同。就在南传佛教呢，不是每一个人都能够成菩萨的，就是修行者呢，要在第一次呢被佛受记成佛之后就是他是菩萨之后呢，他必须要具备这个8个条件就是我们刚才看到的8种条件呢，他必须是人呢，是男性啦。那么还有就是他遇见在世的这个佛陀了他也是要出家的这个比丘。那么当然他也要具备这个4禅8定还有5神通等等而且还要不畏艰难去成就这个圣果。当具备以上这8个条件了，佛陀才会给他受记。所以呢，他所发的这个强烈的戒欲呢，要发大善心、发大愿呢，才能够生效。那当然，他还要花很长很长的时间来继续去圆满他的10波罗蜜。So according to the Northern Mahayana Buddhism, they said everyone can become the bodhisattvas, you see, and become the Buddha as well, provided the bodhicitta is developed. Then throughout subsequent lifetime, before becoming a Buddha, the 4 great vows, the 4 great vows should be practiced with great compassion and wisdom. Perfecting they didn't talk about the 10, they talk about the 6 paramitas, and finally realized the Buddha's path. So everyone can become a Buddha by developing the bodhicitta. The bodhicitta is very important. And of course, you might ask, what is 4 great vows? You see, the meaning, these are 4, right? I vow, you make a vow, to take across numberless living beings. I vow to cut off endless affliction or defilements. I vow to study the countless Dharma doors. I vow to realize the supreme Buddha's path. 那在这个北传经典就是在大乘菩萨的思想，他们主张每一个人都可以成佛那么当然这个成佛呢要发这个菩提心大愿菩提心，那么就是在这个成佛之前生生世世呢要以这个大悲心就是以这个般若就是智慧呢去示见这个四弘誓愿来圆满这个6度波罗蜜行，那么最终才可以成佛。所以呢每个人都可以发菩提心成就菩萨，来成就佛道所以什么是四弘誓愿呢那么就是众生无边誓愿度烦恼无尽誓愿断，法门无量誓愿学，佛道无上誓愿成。So though there are fundamental differences of the Theravada and Mahayana's concept of bodhisattvas, still you see they share something in common with regard to bodhisattvas. For example, right, the concept of bodhisattvas is originated from the Jataka stories and accepted the cultivation of paramitas during his, bodhisattva's path. And both traditions, they have believed that the Maitreya bodhisattvas should become a future Buddhas. And in the Dirgha Nikaya, Agama, or in Digha Nikaya, they all agree with the concept of many past Buddhas. And they all agreed that the Buddha have attained the supreme enlightenment by accomplishing all paramitas, whether 10 paramitas or 6 paramitas. Therefore, the practice of bodhisattva's path has become inevitable. So to conclude, the ultimate realization of Sammasambuddhas, right, the supreme perfect enlightenment, through the path of bodhisattvas, by the Theravada and the Mahayana is more or less the same, both ultimately, for the attainment of Nibbana. 所以呢，我们也刚才看到，就是之前看到这些南传跟北传的这个菩萨的一些不同。尽管是这样他们在南北传呢，其实对菩萨它还是有一些共同之处的啦。那么这共同之处在哪里呢？就是这看到的这个菩萨思想呢，都可以源自于这个佛本身经里面记载，就是佛还没有成佛之前他们的这个修行种种的事迹。那当然他们也承认，就是弥勒菩萨呢将来成佛这个思想那么当然也记载在这个长阿含经或者是长部里面，有很多这些过去佛的这些故事还有呢就是这些佛这些诸佛呢都是要来成就一切的这个波罗蜜，证得这个无上正等正觉的所以呢，在这个南传跟北传的菩萨道思想呢在证悟这个三藐三菩提呢，就是证这个无上正等正觉这个终极的目标都是一样的，都是为了处理这个生死的涅槃。OK， 处理生死的涅槃。好，那么今天呢简单在这个题目上呢给大家做一个介绍。现在呢是一些问答的这个时间那我交给 Brother Chim
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bante, for the very interesting, educational, and very informative talk this morning. I think all of us have learned so much about the Buddha this morning, and such understanding, I think, is good to further strengthen our satta in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and also conducive for our spiritual cultivation. Brothers and sisters in Dhamma, do you have any questions for Venerable Dr. Dhammapala? Bante have told us just now that the sutta recorded in the Buddha, the Pankara prophecy of Sumedha to be the Buddha Gautama eventually. Is there any sutta references of the prophecy of Maitreya Bodhisattva as a future Buddha Maitreya?
Okay, yeah, the answer is very straightforward. And of course, I know that this question has been asked by Brother Chim, some times ago, right? And yeah, I do a little bit of research into this, and there is no such record of the prophecy of Maitreya by living Buddhas becoming Buddhas in the Pali Suttas. You see, and we saw only a very brief description in the Chakravarti Suttas of the Nikaya, mentioning about the Maitreya Bodhisattvas is now living in Tushita heaven, and he will come to this world, after 80,000 years. No, when the human lifespan reach 80,000 years, and there is no such kind of his prophecy by living Buddhas or becoming Buddhahood. But however, lucky enough, I know Chinese. Yeah, then I noticed that in Chinese there is indeed of such a prophecy. You see, then I noticed that in one of the Chinese Agama, it's also quite earlier in the Chinese Agama, Madhyama Agama, there is a discourse called 佛说古来世实经. 佛说古来世实经. The meaning is the discourse spoken by the Buddhas on former and future time. And there is a description of Maitreya's prophecy, by the Gautama Buddhas. And the sutta says, right, the Buddha explained in details how in the future time, when human lifespan, reached 80,000 years, then there will be a wheel-turning king by the name of Sankha will arise, who eventually will go forth and reach liberation. Then on hearing this description, a monk by the name of Ajita, stand up and with hands held in respectful gestures towards the Buddhas, aspire, to become the wheel-turning king, Sankha, at the future time. Then Ajita, who could have attained the liberation at that time, but he postponed the liberation, right? Anyway, the Buddha nevertheless, predicts that Ajita will indeed become the wheel-turning King Sankha. Then the Buddha continued, right, by describing the Buddha Maitreya, under whom Sankha will go forth, appear. So then another monk on the spot, right, by the same name called Maitreya, he stand up and with hands also held in the respectful gestures towards the Buddhas, formulates the aspiration of becoming the future Buddha Maitreya. And the Buddha praises him, right, for making such an aspiration and predicts that he will indeed become the future Buddha's Maitreya. So the Buddha told the Maitreya, right, in the distant future, right, at the time when human lifespan will be 80,000 years, right? There is no mention of 4 Asankheya, right? But talking about when the human lifespan will be 18,000 years, you will become a Buddha called the Maitreya Tathagata. And the qualities are exactly like the Gautama Buddhas. So, okay. Now, whenever I look at these things, why after passing away, there is this evolvement, of this Bodhisattva's idea. I think this one also concerning with the Buddha's passing away, because there is a vacuum, created by the Buddha's passing away, and the enlightened, unenlightened, right? It means that the people, right? the people who have not enlightened yet, right? Means the Gautama Buddha very much. So we see there is a need to compensate for the loss of Gautama Buddhas after his passing away. And this provides a substitute for the passing away of the Gautama Buddhas. So the Bodhisattvas Maitreya, who will continue the lineage of Buddhas by becoming the next awakened Buddhas. And he is our future Buddhas, and the Bodhisattvas Maitreya is now dwelling into Shuddha. So when I look at this text, it gives us an assurance of the continuity of the Buddha's lineage. And such an assurance will be especially important for those who fail to make a substantial progress now. Perhaps precisely, and because they lack the guidance of the Buddhas, they're reassuring them that there is no need to despair now, by offering them a guarantee that there is someone else in the future ready to help those who need assistance. So, yeah, this thought arises. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Bante. Any other question? Yeah, from Brother David. Bante, can you please explain the word bodhicitta? Thank you.
Oh, of course, this bodhicitta, of course, we don't have much time for this, but anyway, I will give you the meaning of bodhicitta. Bodhi means enlightenment, citta means the mind. So it's an enlightenment mind. So Mahayana, they emphasize a lot on the bodhicitta. You see, it means that, when you have bodhicitta arises in your mind, you are destined, you see, to become the Buddhas. Right? So you're destined, to become the Buddha. So destined to become enlightened, to put it in a better words, right? Whereas in Theravada, we don't have this concept of bodhicitta, but we have the similar idea. It means that to make an aspiration, to make a wholesome thoughts of becoming the Buddhas. But to me, more or less the same. Just only the word is different. Where Mahayana, they emphasize on the bodhicitta. And they said that everyone can become the Buddha by arousing, you see, the thought of enlightenment in your mind. Okay, so this is like a kind of a strong force. You see, you were sure, destined to become the Buddha, irrespective of how hard, your struggle is. You see, so you were sure led to the Buddha's path.
Yeah, it's just a matter of terminology, is it?
Yeah, the idea also. But of course, for Theravada, it's very difficult to become a bodhisattva because, as I have said, all the conditions you have to fulfill, you see. So it's not easy. Nowadays, we cannot make a bodhisattva because we have no living Buddha to predict us, you see. So, yeah, like you said, you see, the Maitreya was predicted by the Gautama Buddha, in the Buddha's time. You see, so yeah, so we can only be an arahat.
Yeah, thank you, Bante. Any other questions, Prajit? Okay, Bante, I have met some Buddhists who insist that Theravada Buddhism is the original and should be followed. How do I reply them? Why is only a true male person able to be a Buddha? Thank you so much.
Sorry, can you repeat again? I was told I have met some Buddhists who insist that Theravada is original and should be followed. And how do I reply them? Okay. Why is only a male person be able to be a Buddha? So many things. Okay. So two parts. One part is the Theravada. In fact, you look at the word Theravada, it is not exactly, the representation of the early Buddha's teaching. And we can say that the Theravada Buddhism is one of the earliest forms that cannot represent the original teaching. Okay? Yeah, I think that point makes it clear because when we talk about the Theravada, we are talking about the Theravada from the lineage from, this Sri Lanka lineage, from the Asoka lineage. And that was developed already quite some times later. That cannot represent the earliest teaching, right? And why is only a true male person be Okay, yeah, because I have said a lot, yeah, a lot of, only the male can be the Buddha, things like that. And then people will start question, there was, so I think Buddha was very careful, when formulating certain rules in response, to this Indian social system or the folk customs. And you find a lot of inequalities in the system between men and women at the Buddha's time. And of course, to me, I want to say, we cannot simply take the wording of suttas out of context, right? And if you look at this, many suttas, right, that the Buddha praised and respected women very much, right? And the Buddha rejected the folk caste system, eliminated the distinction between, the male superiority and the female inferiority, and evoked, the equality of all beings. You see, and Buddha also said both men and women, can be enlightened and attain nirvana, right? So we cannot take, the rational sentence, right, in the suttas, as if, even if they were said by the Buddhists in other contexts, and apply them to a very different ethnic or different social cultures of today, especially the societies that emphasize the equality of men and women. Now you see a lot of scientists, presidents, you see, or the richest woman in the world, right? And these have created women's superior social status due to the opportunity of giving education. So, okay. So now, after 2,600 years later, this issue, still being discussed and debated. So I think it's very difficult for me to say yes or no, but I leave this issue for your continued discussion.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. Any other question? This question comes from KCBA. Bodhisattva ideal in Theravada seems very difficult to achieve, especially the condition is male and met a living Buddha when compared to Mahayana approach. In Theravada seems to give some demotivational impact to the person. How do we continue to encourage or attract the persons to follow the early teachings of the Buddha to Bodhisattva way, as we already see a decline in Buddhist population?
Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah, of course. Now, when I look at these bodhisattvas, besides talking about the prophecy of the Buddhas, you see, or Buddhahood, you see, I will look at bodhisattvas from another perspective. Not from the prophecy perspective, but from the act of your kindness. Yeah, your act or your compassionate act. So like now, if you look at, Sri Lanka or many other Buddhist countries, though they are very strong in Theravada, but many monks also said they are following the Bodhisattva's way, you see, by helping people, doing a lot of charity. You see, so these are the things that also admirable. So I will look at from that perspective. Because nowadays we don't have a living Buddha to predict us. But for some who wants to do the Bodhisattva's path, right, they can continue doing it by, cultivating compassion, by doing a lot of charities for helping the people. So I think that also comply with the attitudes of Bodhisattva's compassionate teaching.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante. That's an excellent answer, Bhante. I think due to time constraint, we have one more question, last question. Any more? Yeah, Bhante, some Chinese Buddhists believe in Guan Yin as a Bodhisattva. Can Bhante enlighten us on this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is also another thing because, of course, we have said the Mahayana Bodhisattva is very different from Theravada. For Mahayana, they talk about two types of Bodhisattvas. It's Yingdi Pusa, Jiandi Pusa. You see, they talk about, the Bodhisattvas, from the perspective of cause, and they talk about the Bodhisattvas from the perspective of fruition, right? So Guan Yin Pusa is our Avalokiteshvara Pusa. You see, he is a Bodhisattva from the perspective of fruition. It means that for Mahayana, Guan Yin has already enlightened, right? He I don't know he or she, but he is Buddha, ancient Buddha. You see, but still, out of compassion for sentient being, he come back, continue to save the sentient being. So not just only Guan Yin, and you have also like Pu Xian, Samantha Bhadra, or Wen Su, is it Manjushri, or Di Zhang, like Hishtagarbha. You see, so these are the four great, Mahayanas, Bodhisattva. In fact, they have already become a Buddha long ago, but because of the compassion, they come back to save the sentient beings. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Pante. Thank you so much for the very interesting and very educational information talk this morning, very inspiring talk this morning, and also very profound answers to our questions. On behalf of devotees, we convey our heartfelt thanks and gratitude to Pante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Venerable Dhammapala, for the very interesting talk, and we had a very good discussion during the Q&A session. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, this morning we have all participated in the Sunday Buddha Puja service, listening to the Venerable's Dhamma sharing, and with the merits accrued, let us invite Venerable Dhammapala to lead us in a dedication of merits to all sentient beings, families, relatives, and friends, and to the departed ones. Dedications of the merits to include the frontliners, to include those who are suffering from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. May they have a quick recovery, free from suffering, be well and happy. May all rejoice in these merits. And this morning, we would also like to dedicate merits to our past honorary Secretary, Brother James Koo, who had been admitted to the hospital. With the power of the Triple Gem, the protection by the guardian deities, with the merits accumulated by Brother James, may Brother James Koo have a speedy recovery and be well and happy and safe. Over to Venerable.
Oh yeah, may James Koo, Suiban be safe and have a speedy recovery. Yes, so we now share the merit. Akasata cha Bhumata Devanaga Mahidika Punyang Tang Anumoditwa Chirang Rakantu Loka Sasanang Chirang Rakantu Desanang Chirang Rakantu Mang Parang Etawata cha amhehi sampadang punya sampadang Sabbe deva, sabbe buddha, sabbe satta anumodantu Sabba sampati siddhya Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita Ontu nyatayo Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita Ontu nyatayo Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita Ontu nyatayo Imang no punya bagang Mata pitunancha Acharyanancha Sapasatanancha Sapamitanancha Sapanyatinancha Sapapetanancha Sapadevatanancha Bhajema Imang no punya bagang Sapasatanang dema Sabbe satta sukita ontu Imina punya kamena Mame bala samagamo Sata samagamo hotu Yavanik banapatiya idang me punyang asavakaya vahang hotu idang me punyang nibbanas pacayo hotu sadhu sadhu sadhu.
Venerable Dr. Dhammapala, thank you very much for leading us in this morning Sunday Buddha Puja service and with the wonderful Dhamma talk. Brothers and sisters, please help me to thank Venerable Dr. Dhammapala and our team. And with that, before we end, brothers and sisters, let us pay homage to the Triple Gem. Dang Pujemi Dhammang Pujemi Sanghang Pujemi. To the devotees, thank you very much for participating, and to those who have stayed until to the transference or sharing of the merits, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We have come to the end of this 49th online Sundays Buddha Puja service. Next Buddha Puja service will be next week on the 27th of June. You may refer to the Facebook for the posters with the information. It will be a good idea to send the posters to your family members. Remember to follow the SOP, stay safe, stay home. May you and family be safe, well, happy, and peaceful always. Sukhi hontu, sabbe sattha sukita hontu.
Bahong sahan semabhinim mita sayudantang ngirimi kelang udita sasena